So he brings in some of the most important people to Islam. All right? I'm talking about in terms of the elites and those that would give it respectability at that level. And then he goes with the Prophet ﷺ to meet all of the different tribes as support. So he's always there with the Prophet ﷺ when he goes out there to call people to Islam. Now, was he tortured? Was Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu actually going to be tortured? We know that the Meccans would make an example out of the weak and the poor. Would Abu Bakr be tortured? Yes. Who dared to torture Abu Bakr? This is where the picture starts to fill. Abu Bakr and Talha belonged to Banu Taym. They're noble, and the nobles would be reprimanded behind the scenes. They'd be beaten and reprimanded behind the scenes. They weren't going to be publicly humiliated the way that the slaves would be humiliated, the way that the poor would be humiliated. They would humiliate them privately and try to get them to renounce the religion privately, because in their tribalism, they did not want to humiliate their tribesmen in public because they would see that as collective humiliation of the tribe. So we can only do this in private. There was no one from Banu Taym, so the idea with the noble tribes was you take your noble ones and you punish them privately. Okay? Banu Taym, small tribe, no one was willing to torture Abu Bakr and Talha. Guess who takes the challenge to torture Abu Bakr and Talha? The brother of Khadija, Nawfal ibn Khuwaylid, who was known as the Lion of Quraysh, Asadu Quraysh, the brother of Khadija radiallahu anha, who was nicknamed because of what he did to the Muslims as Shaitan Quraysh, the devil of Quraysh. I gave a khutbah about him 2 years ago, I believe. Because how could the brother of Khadija be such a horrible, evil man to even go out in Badr to try to kill the Prophet ﷺ? So the brother of Khadija, Nawfal ibn Khuwaylid, takes a rope. He ties Abu Bakr and Talha together and he beats them and tortures them in private together with one rope. Crazy, right? SubhanAllah. I mean, the brother of Khadija torturing Abu Bakr and Talha. And that's why they were actually called Al-Qarinayn, the two tied ones, because Abu Bakr and Talha were tied together by the same rope of Nawfal. Okay? So SubhanAllah, I mean, this is, when you start to dig deep into these things, you start to see it's all interconnected. Everything that's happening in the society is related to another part of the society and another dimension of the Prophet ﷺ's life. So Al-Qarinan, the two that are tied together, Abu Bakr and Talha, are bounded by the rope of Nawfal, beaten and tortured only in private. Now, not beaten the way that the slaves were being beaten, not to a point of death, not to a point where they're not having their skin burned off of them, they're not having their nails pulled out. Some of the really harsh things that are being done to the slaves, that's not to that level, but it's enough to try to get them to renounce their faith. But it's all done, again, away from the public sphere. This isn't happening around the Kaaba because that would be a shame on the tribe itself. Okay?